Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 11 of the Halloween Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing 20 brand new Halloween themed paper craft projects in 20 days. And today's project, well, it's kind of a big one. Maybe not quite as big as day 1, but still definitely another off the map project. And here it is, a giant keep out sign to hang on your door or your wall. Or if you work in an office, maybe you've got a desk and somewhere to put it and you just want to give everyone a kind of not so subtle hint to leave you alone. Why not try one of these? Probably only works around Halloween time though. It'd be a bit rude the rest of the year. This is a great layered design. You can make it in any size that you choose. The big one, like this, comes in sections which are glued together so that it can be cut from your regular 12 by 12 cardstock, or of course you can make it a little bit smaller to cut from other sizes of card. Or if you'd like a little bit more of a subtle keep out sign, I've also included a version where all the pieces are joined together so it can just be cut from one single sheet. Here's an example of the smaller one. This is much smaller at just 9.5 inches wide compared to the 22 inches wide of the big one. If I put them next to each other, you can see the different effects of the big and the little together. So whichever one you decide to make, either giant or smaller, let's get started. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. Register a free ticket for the Halloween Craft Countdown at craftwithsarah.com/HCC25. After registering, you'll get an email which contains a link to the schedule page for the countdown. Visit the schedule page to find and download today's files. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access bundle at craftwithsarah.com/HCC25 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Halloween Craft Countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. Or purchase just this design at craftwithsarah.com/products. To find the designs from this countdown, click into the Occasions filter and choose Halloween. The designs will appear here each day once they become available to buy. The download comes in a zip folder. You need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file for either the little or the large keep out sign, or both if you want to make both of them, into Design Space. Open up Cricut Design Space and start a new project. Press Upload over on the left and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the file on your computer or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the download folder, and within there, look in the 01 Cricut version subfolder. If you're using a different type of cutting machine, such as a Silhouette or a Scan and Cut, head to craftwithsarah.com/help for separate videos on which files to choose for your type of machine. But I'll go into 01 Cricut version, and you've got two files in there. Both of them start SVG-01 in the file name. There's one that has the word large in it, and one that has the word small in it. I'll show you the small one first, as that's a little bit easier. We'll drag and drop that in. This is what it looks like. Press Continue. There's nothing to change on this screen. Press Upload. It will then be inserted onto your canvas. You can close out this window on the left by clicking the arrow that appears halfway down the page. This loads in at 11 inches wide and 4 inches tall, so it will cut on 12 by 12 inch cardstock, but if you want to cut it on US letter or A4 paper, you may need to make it a little smaller. To resize it smaller, make sure the padlock icon above the width and the height boxes is closed. If yours is open, you can click it to close it. Then you can change either the width or the height. Press Enter on your keyboard and the other measurement will change in proportion. This is the size I cut my smaller one out, which is 9.5 inches wide, and it makes it around about 3.5 inches tall. If we look in the Layers panel, we've got all of those letters, and then underneath there, all the different parts that make up the outline of the sign. You know that you're looking at the smaller version of the design because when you get down to the bottom, these 4 pieces here, it's all joined together as one layer. If I just move that bottom out the way, you can see this entire bottom piece is all one bit of cardstock, all of this brown. And the same is true for all of those other large pieces. So there's nothing to join together, it's all done for you on the design. That works great if you want to cut the sign small enough to fit on one bit of card, but what if you want to make a super big one? That's where you need the other SVG file. I'll go back to upload and then upload image. This time I'll select the version of the file which has the word large in it. Now at this point it looks exactly the same as the small one. That's fine. Press continue and upload. You'll notice the difference now when it's inserted onto your canvas. This loads in at 22 inches wide by 8 inches tall by default, and this at this size it will need 12 by 12 inch card again. You can make it smaller if you want to use a smaller card. The way to tell that this is the design that's for the larger size, not only because it is really big on the actual size, but if we look in the layers panel for this one and scroll down the bottom, you can see these bottom bits this time are all broken up into two. So it will cut a left and a right side of separate bits of cardstock and then we'll glue them together to make the size of the finished design. And that's how we can make something that's 22 inches wide on our regular 12 by 12 inch cutting mats. When you're ready to get it cut out, press make over on the top right, and then that will separate out all the pieces for you. Now, as I said for this one, at the size it loads in at, it does require the 12 by 12 inch cardstock. You can see that it's completely filling all of the space. If you've made yours smaller, then you might be able to change the paper size in here to either A4 or US letter or something smaller. Those options aren't showing up for me because this is so big. You can click and drag to move things about. Just make sure that nothing overlaps, otherwise it won't cut out properly. When you're happy with how all of your pieces of cardstock are looking, press continue to connect to your Cricut and then follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut from cardstock. And I've just had a little thought, which is that if I go down to the letters, I'll be able to show you the paper sizes in here because these don't need 12 by 12 as they're only small letters. So for instance, now you can see I've got A4 in here, I've got letter size paper, even smaller right down to 4 by 6 inches. So if I change to A4, then it rearranges everything to fit on that particular paper size. All right, go ahead, get it cut out, then we'll stick it together. I've now got all of the pieces of my giant version of the keep out sign cut out. For once, we're not going to be starting at the bottom and working upwards. Instead, for this design, we're going to start with the blood drip layer, and it comes as these two pieces of red. The reason that we're starting with this layer is it will be easier to line up because we can line up where the drips connect, and then that will help us to know the size to make it. We'll use a combination of glue and foam squares to put it together. This is the glue I'm using, Barely Art Glue, but I also like Halal. The reason I like these glues is they don't bend or wrinkle the card like some other glues can do. For the foam squares, I'm using these ones from Dot & Dab. These ones are 3mm thick, which is slightly thicker than I would normally use. Normally I use the 2mm thick, but I accidentally bought the wrong ones, so I've got thicker ones for this project. But actually, because it's so big anyway, I think it might actually be a little bit more impactful with these deeper foam squares. But any will do, any size or thickness that you've got. I realised from looking at this that I've managed to cut my red pieces out of two different types of cardstock. This one over here is smooth and this one over here has a texture on it. But never mind, I don't think it'll notice too much when it's all put together. Alright, so what we're going to do is take one, it doesn't matter which one, and then it will overlap on this little bit here. So this very end drip, you can line up and they'll perfectly go over each other, and then turn it round so that the bottom section will line up and be straight too. And then we'll take some glue and a little bit down here and down here, and then do that overlap. Dropping it all over the place. Pick up. So that lines up so that it will cover that drip one on top of the other and also be flat and smooth along the top. And then the bottom, also make sure that lines up so you've got a nice straight line. You don't have to be 100% accurate because everything else that we do, we're going to match to this. So however you've done this, everything else will be the same. Then take your bottom two pieces and then turn your red bit upside down. So this is the back now. And then also turn these bits upside down. Line them up. And now we're using the red as a template. It doesn't matter which side you overlap on the brown, but what we're going to do is position them so that they match with the red and then glue them down that overlap. Glue down here on the brown. Make sure that one's all still perfectly lined up with the red. And then line this one up. I'm going to leave that there for a minute for the glue to dry, because if I try and turn it over now and the glue's still wet, it might move about and then it won't line up anymore. My glue is dry now. I'll turn everything back over the right way. Move the red out the way and bring in the detail layer for the wood. Now that we've got the bottom done, the rest of it's easy to line up. And these will be glued on top to make up that wood grain design. I shouldn't have put the glue on with it resting on top of the bottom layer because I've managed to get glue on there. Hopefully it'll be covered up. Alright, this is a little tricky because of all the open side bits. I did a very bad job at that. Look at all that glue I made messy. The good thing is it dries clear, and a lot of this will be covered up by the letters anyway, so I don't think it'll notice once it's all done. Okay, and then glue the other one on the other side. And then that will all line up lovely. I'm gonna be a bit smarter this time and do the gluing off of everything else. Alright, I'm going to try and hold all those edges this time so that they don't drag the glue around. That worked out better. Alright, big bit's done. Now we're moving on to the blood layer to go on top. Here it is, and this time we'll switch to foam squares. Move that out the way and bring this one back in. Just checking which way round it is. That's good. Okay, turn it upside down and get your foam squares. As this is big, it's going to be quite heavy, especially with all the other layers on top. So I'm going to add quite a lot of foam squares to this to make sure it stays stuck on when it's hung up. I'm going to go all the way around the edges and then into the blood drips as well. Alright, that's a lot of foam squares. Now they're all on there, I can peel the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. These are all now nice and sticky. So we'll bring the sign back in and get it stuck down. Gently lie it down to start with so that if you're not happy with the positioning, you can pick it up and move it because it won't have stuck yet. It'll just be gently laid on top. You might have to do it in stages like I'm doing, where I'm sort of getting a bit of it lined up and then moving around and doing the next little bit. Next up is the brown frame here. And this is the one that goes across the whole of the left and the right, and this one will be done with glue. Let's do this one first. And then the other bit will go on top and overlap a little bit there. Next up, we've got the extra wooden pieces for the top and the bottom. These will be stuck on with foam squares to give some dimension, to make it look like it's all the bits of wood sort of stuck together. Just going to line them up first to get them done along the joins. I'm trying to stay consistent with which one I put on first so that all of my joins kind of line up, but it doesn't matter if yours are in different places. So I'm putting my left one on, then the glue. I've done it differently on the red because my join's there, so it doesn't matter too much. There's that one. Then we'll foam square these pieces on, turn them upside down, and add your foam to the back. Okay, peel the tops off. I'm running out of space on my desk. Once again, I'm going to gently get it into place and drop down, and then push down when I'm happy. And the same for the top. A little closer so I can see better. Okay, so that's the frame done. Now it's time for the letters. To speed things up, I've already added my foam squares on the back, but I haven't peeled the tops off to make them sticky yet. I want to line these up, and I thoroughly recommend getting these all into place before you start sticking them on, just so you know they're all going to fit. You don't want to start sticking and then get to the end and realise it's not going to fit. Don't worry about getting them super straight. In fact, it looks a little more authentic if they're not. So that we get this as the kind of painted effect on the sign. The blood splatter can go wherever you want it to. You don't need to do it in the same place as the design. The design's got it kind of between the O and the U, something like that. I'll leave that till last. Happy with that. Just that one down a bit, I think. It was a bit too close to that drip. And now I can peel the tops off of my letters. I'm doing them with foam squares because it just gives more of an impact, but really these letters would sort of be painted on if this was a real sign. So if you want to glue them, then absolutely glue them instead. But I like them popping out. That's my keep out done. Now I've just got my splatter, and I'll put that about there and go glue it on. Like that. That's the main part done. Now we just need to add some twine to the holes to hang this up. There are a few different ways you could do this. I'm not sure what's the... Ooh, dropped it. I'm not sure what's the best way. So I'm just gonna thread it between the two holes, I think. I don't want the twine to be visible on the front, so let's come in from the back instead. That will get hidden behind. You can sort of choose how long you want the hanging bit to be. I'm going to go for about that. tie it in a rough knot. I'm not going to do it in a bow or anything. This isn't a bow kind of project. Much more kind of rustic and a little scruffy to match the vibe. And then that would hang up. I can put it on a nail or a picture hook or something like that, or even just put it straight round a door handle. And there's my giant keep out sign finished. I've also made up the smaller one, which is here. So this really lets you see the difference between the two. I cut this one at 9.5 inches wide, so it is a bit smaller than it needs to be. You could have done it up to 11.5 to get it all cutting on one sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock. I bent my E by mistake when I was sticking it on. So for this one, I put the blood splatter over here because it hides that great big crease mark on that E that I made. So it's kind of nice that that can go wherever you want it to, because if you made a little mistake, you can cover it up. So there's the little one all ready to hang up, and the big one, and that's our Halloween keep out sign all finished. I hope that you enjoyed this video on how to make the little or the large version of this keep out sign. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and come back soon for loads more Cricut crafts and free SVGs. If you're going to be making this project, let me know. Are you doing it small or going big? Let me know in the comments. I hope to see you tomorrow for day 12 of the Halloween craft countdown. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Bye!